Welcome to Bible Study with Fred. I'm in Proverbs 24, 11, and 12 to start with. I'm hoping we can have a Bible study with our seated across the table from each other with our Bibles open. I'll share my interpretation. You share your interpretation. Feel free to make comments on what I say, whether you agree or disagree. So Proverbs 24, 11, and 12. If thou forbear to deliver them that are drawn unto death, and those that are ready to be slain, if thou sayest, Behold, we knew it not, and doth not he that pondereth the heart consider it? He that keepeth thy soul, doth he not know it? And shall not he render to every man according to his works? Cannot this be thought of in relation to one of our most controversial subjects of today, abortion? If you could just imagine the 50 million plus lives snuffed out before they even had a chance to see the light of day, and done so wickedly in their mother's womb, a place one would think of as safe and nurturing. And we're not talking about the very small number that were because of medical reasons, or because of somebody was raped or because of incest. We're talking about the massive numbers that were murdered for the sake of birth control. And you only you know what's in your heart. But we have a parallel in the issue of racial slavery. Many people will look at history and say, well, you can't judge the founding fathers by our time. You must judge them by their own. However, in the many biographies of men like Patrick Henry and Thomas Jefferson, and in the sermons of the day, such as John Wesley's 1774 Thoughts on Slavery, it is clear that the quote, great men of that time were uncomfortable with slavery, knew it was wrong, and wished the whole institution would disappear, but they did not have the moral backbone or commitment to make it so. Can we now, with so many millions of innocents being ripped apart, beheaded, whose helpless little bodies are cast into the trash like yesterday's discarded pizza, think that we can sit back and say, well, I don't believe in abortion, so I don't plan on having one, ha ha. Christians could not sit by and not petition and plead and demand that their legislators make abortion as birth control removed as a constitutional right, as per the Supreme Court, and have the states put severe restrictions on it, at least as severe as any medical procedure that doesn't take a life, with informed consent and assigned understanding that the mother who pursues the services of an abortionist knows she is taking the life of her child, and that parents of underage girls are fully informed of what their daughter is considering? Or are you so wicked, evil, and full of spite and hate that you view abortion as just something a woman has a right to do with something that is no more than a tumor, a lump of tissue, a parasite? Augustine, the famous Roman Catholic theologian of the first half of the first millennium after Christ, wrote on therapeutic abortion, quote, and therefore the following question may be carefully inquired into and discussed by learned men, though I do not know whether it is man's power to resolve it. At what time the infant begins to live in the womb, where the life exists in a latent form before it manifests itself in the motions of the living being. To deny that the young who are cut out limb by limb from the womb, lest if they were left there dead, the mother should die too, have never been alive, seems too audacious. Now, from the time that man begins to live, from that time it is possible for him to die. And if he die, wheresoever death may overtake him, I cannot discover on what principle it can be denied an interest in the resurrection of the dead. So abortion has been an issue for a long time, it would seem. No German could have ever said, if he suspected something was happening to the Jews, gypsies, homosexuals, mental patients, and handicapped by the Nazis in the Holocaust, that he or she was innocent because they didn't know. Because when God searches the heart, he knows the truth. You said nothing. You objected not. You are guilty of the murder as well. How many times have Christians been silent when their government did some great evil because, well, we can use the excuse of Romans 13, which is no excuse at all, for standing by and watching great evil done? I'm not advocating violence. There's no excuse for it. But if you trust in God through Christ, but if you have a choice and that voice, you have a voice, and that voice must be raised when people are brought to slaughter, whether it be workers poisoned by their own employers through willful acts of negligence, as my father learned when he was a private investigator for insurance companies, or people with no political power being experimented on like lab animals. It's interesting to note what Christians had to say when it was learned that our government had experimented on poor black men who had a venereal disease, never telling them what they had and denying them all curative medical treatment. This went on from 1932 to 1972 in what is called the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. Try to find a Christian response when it was discovered and reported. You'll be hard pressed to find much. When you are aware of a wrong being committed, particularly one that involves the death and destruction of the helpless, you must speak up. Do something. You can't say it's not my responsibility. You can argue about how far you go as a Christian to fight injustice and oppression and murder, but you can't simply use the excuse that you didn't know if you did, because God knows. All right, we're going to stop there and pick it up in verse 13 next. Now, I'm hoping that you will open the Bible today and let God speak to you through his word. And I'm hoping that you will study the Bible today, cross referencing the verses. And I'm hoping that you'll pray to God for wisdom and understanding before you do either one of those things. And then share your interpretation with someone else. You can purchase my comments on Amazon, and I encourage you to do so. You can read them for free on blogger.com. But if you watch this video this far, would you please click like and subscribe or follow and share the video with someone else? And I look forward to your comments. I'm sure it's just the hot topics here. I'm sure that you have things to say. All right. Thank you.